Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. How is everyone doing? Good morning, Royal Palms. Just remind me, Apple and Meta, just make sure you remind me. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Yogi. Thank you for putting that in. I almost said the wrong thing. And I saw you. Yogi, thank you. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Heinrich. Good morning again. Sterling has some computer issues. Oh, here he is. Good morning. Sterling made it in. Computer issues resolved. Thank goodness. What would I have done? Because nobody would be putting in anything like the news. We really rely on Sterling. Thank you so much for being here, Sterling. I'm glad your PC problems got solved. I know about that. And they happened at the worst times, like on a Monday morning. Good morning, Balaji. Good morning to people in the background. Good morning to people on Rumble, Patrick and Rusty, and people in the background on Rumble. I'm gonna hit myself a like on Rumble. There we go. Good morning, Christoph. How are you doing? Thank you for tuning in early this morning, Christoph. All right, we got a busy week ahead. No rest ahead of the holidays for us. Good morning, Anissa. Today, not much. Hey, Charles, how you doing? We got consumer inflation expectations and some bill and note auctions. Very quiet day. Tomorrow, we have the NFIB optimism index, ADP employment change, the weekly basis, Red Book, the JOLTS openings and quits, which will even get more attention right now. And then that's really about it. Wednesday, of course, the EIA numbers, but more important, the Fed interest rate decision and press conference. Both are important this time, even though it's favored close to 90% that they're going to cut both. It's going to be important to see the vote on it. Let's say they do cut, but it's like 7-5. Okay, it's good. That's the breakdown of that cut's going to be interesting. And then we have the press conference. So Wednesday is very busy. Good morning, David. What's this? Paramount launches an all-cash offer to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery for $30 versus Netflix. So we'll see. We shall see. Christoph is wondering how dangerous a rally in yields might be for the stock market. Well, they've already been rallying. It's really going to depend. The market's still shrugging everything off. At some point, if it continues to rally, especially if the 30-year gets over 5%, the market will definitely sit up and take notice. Also, the next pick for the Fed chair is going to be very important because if it's Hassett, the clown show, then it's going to get real interesting. Then they're definitely going to start focusing on interest rates even more. Oh, speaking of the clown show, Hassett, lauding Feds Waller, Bowman, and Warsh. So, I mean, out of Waller, Hassett, Waller, Bowman, and Warsh, I'd probably pick Waller. Yeah, I was asked last week. Out of all those four, I'd pick Waller. My lowest on the list would be Hassett. Way lowest on the list. Like, not even on the list. Low. So that's where we sit. Yeah, I saw that. There must only be one rule book, one ring to rule them all. So Thursday, we got initial continuing jobless claims. We got what else? Oh, I think that they're going to release these after, I don't know the time frame, but they were coming out after the Fed meeting on Wednesday. Convenient enough, but they're going to release the PPI and CPI numbers. CPI from October, November. Sorry, PPI numbers, core and headline for October and November. And then Friday we got Fed speak to explain why they did what they did. Alrighty. We got Broadcom, Micron leading the chips higher today. Oracle, remember, Oracle has earnings this week. We'll take a look at that. Tesla, little pullback today. Financial strong. Let's just jump straight to the groups. Everything leading except for comm services pretty much flat. Consumer cyclical down and consumer defensive down. Everything else moving on up. So, Fed watch. Close to 90% for the cut on Wednesday. Fear and greed, still in fear mode with the markets trading really close to all-time highs, especially the S&P. Schiller PE 40.46 in these dirt cheap markets. In terms of earnings, going to be looking at Toll Brothers after the close. Tomorrow morning, my two I'm looking at are Campbell's and AutoZone. Those are the big two I'm looking at. That's really it. That's going to be at least interesting. GameStop after the close, Cracker Barrel tomorrow afternoon. Wednesday, J-Jill, Chewy, UEC, Uranium Energy Corp. Although after the close, we have Fed meeting on Wednesday, and then we got Adobe and Oracle. And based off of Oracle, what they've been doing with their credit default swaps and everything else, I'm going to be very interested in those earnings. Thursday, we got Sienna and the Couch People, Lovesac. But after the close, Broadcom, Lululemon, Costco, and Restoration Hardware. Broadcom's probably the most important, but you still have Costco trading outrageous PEs. Lululemon is always interesting to watch for athleisure wear, especially with more people forced back in the office and it's higher end. Restoration in terms of higher end house furnishings. So this is going to give us some insight, a couple things in the higher end and how Costco's doing. And not much besides Johnson Outdoors. Jay out on Friday. Never heard of him. What else do we have? Good morning, OD Green. Morgan Stanley taking the machete out not only to Tesla, Ferrari down 3% after MS downgrade to equal weight on accountability of its decision to strictly limit volume growth until 2030. What is that on Ferrari? I don't know what they did to Tesla. I did not see that this morning. Still the double playing out in Tesla, but it looks like there'll be a gap down this morning. All right. We continue to grind higher. Yes, on Friday closing, we ran up. We've ticked off the 87.5. Remember, if I put this back on, 87.5 hit on Friday. Okay, so that's out of the way. We finished the 87.5 and put it in. If this were to reverse now and trigger this massive double top, it would be one of the higher probability ones for a couple reasons. Weekly rotation zone out of the way. And daily rotation zone would be out of the way. By far. So, I'm still watching Friday's high. And then right around 69.25. So those are the two levels higher I'm watching over the next day or so if we continue to grind higher. Very, 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 very key support right around 68.60 in that area. If it drops below 68.50 to 68.60 on any spike downs. Okay. So that's what I'm looking for there. Other than that, still on the shorter time frame, keep an eye on the 4-hour rotation zone. Even on dips below, watch where it closes before you get overexcited that we're selling off. Because you see any dips down, even just below it, have been bought. This one straight to the 21, back on Friday, bought up. Dips into it, bought. So that's why I cannot go unless we get massive momentum bars. We've talked about that. Not expecting them today or tomorrow unless something happens out of the blue, like completely unexpected, because people are going to be really waiting on that Fed meeting on Wednesday. So it takes some kind of unexpected event to trigger massive momentum bars. Other than that, I can't go short because we're still holding the daily and the 4-hour rotation zones. I can just watch for pullback levels. The NASDAQ has not yet ticked off the 87.5. Could not close above very key resistance on Friday, but still made it to 775. So we have potential double tops in the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, and Russell. That does not mean we're bearish yet, but we're going to keep a close eye on that. If we can take out Friday's high, my next key level is right around 25,997, so 26,000, really close to 26,000. Very key pullback area is 25,600. If it dips below there, it's 25,550, but on a closing basis, it's 25,600. They downgraded Tesla to equal rate, and they raised their price target to 425, and it's trading at 455, and they're equal weight. So that means they're raising their target. Tesla's still above their target, and so that means it's been way above their prior target, and now they're deciding to raise it but slash. So they're expecting what, a pullback, an equal weight pullback? It's all a clown show. You know what? That's why analysts, Tesla, and I'm not overly bullish on Tesla at all. It's incredibly overvalued on all merits. There's just a double that still has to play out. Since we're talking about it, it's hit the first target. Gap down today, going to be watched again. Would I be shocked to see it hit this high topping area? No, I would not. Would I be looking for potential shorts up here? Yes, I would. Now, the interesting thing on this, this could go, Tesla, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, Tesla could go to 500, and then it could drop to 425, and they'll say, see, we're right. It's not useful information. This is not about Tesla at all, because I'm still, short term, I'm bullish on Tesla. Long term, I'm very bearish on Tesla. But they'll do something like with Oracle. They'll say price target. Price target on Oracle, 260. I'm making this up. I don't know what their price target is. Oracle could drop to 150 and then rally to 260 2 years later, and they're like, see, we're right. It's not tradable information. It's not even properly investable information. It's garbage. All right, we went through NASDAQ. Sorry, mini rant there because it's garbage. Dow did tick off the 87.5. Technically, it missed it by a point. I'm sorry. I said a fib. It technically missed it by a point. 1 point out of 47,000. It was 48,184. It 180, and it need to get to 48,185. So technically, it's not qualified. I'm calling it qualified. It doesn't friggin' matter. It already hit above the 75. But still, the magnet price is 48,185. Above there, it's around 4. It's this key close. I'll tell you exactly where it is. This key close is next price, right around 48,370. Very key support in the Dow's 47,750 to 760. Thank you, Royal Palms. What did Chipotle do? Additional 1.8. All right, these companies just repurchasing their shares. This whole share repurchase has turned into a complete and utter racket. Complete and utter racket. They need to really tighten the rules on that one. These companies should also be paid now that they should be turned to dividends instead of share repurchases. Share repurchases help more is their leadership that gets stock options. You know what? You want to do something that wouldn't benefit the leadership, you pay out the dividends. But no. Russell, I'm in a mood this morning for a Monday. We do not have a potential double with that spike up nullified. Key support 2505. Target 2552. Roughly 2551, 2552. Next target above that would be all-time highs. The VIXY, little bounce up today. Again, we're headed into Headed into Fed week. This is not because the market's selling off. This is because people now decided let's do some slight hedging. And I'm not opposed to that. I'm looking for some minor volatility hedges going into the Fed meeting, not the Dow meeting, the Fed meeting. And I'm not talking where this could go to 25, 26. I'm talking for minor stuff in case it's sell the news with the Fed or they do a hawkish cut. Let's say they cut, but this comes out very hawkish. We'll get to some Daxi. Again, the key level, it's come up, hit the 62.5 area, still needs to close above 24,168. Key support now back to about 23,920. So we still have into a clear path move also. But my key target is for it to close above that 62.5. The yields continuing to bounce back rather strongly and testing very, very key resistance back to overbought. Would not be surprised to see a little pause or a slight pullback headed into the Fed meeting. But then let's see. 30-year. Remember, it triggered. It triggered on Friday. I can't say you can remember because I was watching for this, but it officially triggered. This is a long-term pattern. But the target, look at the target. Friggin' 5%. Pretty much spot on. We did put out a potential trade to take advantage of this in the Unfiltered Investor. 4.882 is the first target. Does it have to go there in a straight line? No. I'm going to be watching for plenty of back and forth. We could even return to this 4.75 area without even doing anything. So that is something I'll be watching very closely because there are trades associated with that also. Crude hitting the 50 on Friday, but not closing above it, and reversal back down. The channel was violated. That's why this is off. I'm looking for key support right around 58.60. Crude has been crappy trading from even a swings we're talking, it has to be traded super short from my perspective. Not from the short side, but super short duration. Because it's just back and forth. That's why I've been focusing on it that much, because there's better markets to trade. And when something gives you this, unless you're a crude scalper, I'm not interested. Natty Gas made a potential pretty decent topping bar on Friday in very overbought conditions, at least looking for a pullback into the rotation zone. Gold still does have a little mini potential double top. Still hugging the 8 EMA. It's not a high probability. It's not one of the higher probability double tops since it is against the rotation zone and the first target is beyond the rotation zone. Would I be getting short if it triggers? No. I'd be looking for pullbacks. Other than that, the magnet, I sound like a broken record if you keep tuning in, but it's still the same. 43.36. Silver is just, this is a textbook example out of a massive rally of a sideways correction with 8 catching up. Forgot to update the levels. $60 is still key. It almost hit it on Friday. Copper, take a breather too against a very key breakdown level from the prior double top. All right. So if it gets above here, there's still this really weird sentiment we talked about back in July. That's a gap. We got the rising rotation zone also. Dollar index. What am I keeping an eye on there? If we rallied up, I'm being patient right now, but if we rally up and close above last week's high, it's a % B buy. Remember, we've already triggered the big weekly pattern. The only thing that gets me off the pattern is if we close below 97.39. Other than that, I'll still be looking for pullback plays in the dollar. The euro, we could still also rally a bit in this. By the way, are these double top? This is more of a channeling pullback that's breaking out. I'll be paying attention to the dollar a lot closer after the decision on Wednesday. 30-year and 10-year. 10-year continues to climb in Japan. This is getting really interesting. Approaching 2%. 30-year took a little breather, now trying to bounce back up. By the way, that potential double top is no longer valid. The yen trying to break above this key little best fit line. That's the one I'm watching for. And if it closes above Friday's high, it's a percent B buy. I need it to close above the trend line too. Bitcoin, this is interesting. I was watching it barely closing above this peak into an advanced clear path right there. However, I'm keeping a very close eye on this channel. Why? For all those Bitcoin people. Because from an Elliott standpoint, now this is not for a major bounce. My first target now is just above 100K. My first target is actually just below about the 50-week. But if we start rolling over very tight on this one, because into the weekly rotation zone, and if we break down without much of a rally out of this channel, we have a 1, 2 correction, 3, 4. This is a textbook 4 wave, channeling wave correction. It still has to break down. If we do, then we go into an Elliott wave 5 count down with a target of around 70,000. So I'm keeping a very close eye on this channel. Should it start rolling over? And if we start getting below about 87,750 again. For those Bitcoin people, Spideys, again, we have the potential massive double top in that. Hit my key level and filled the gap on Friday. Little, what do we have? A little gap up today. So on any rollover play, it's be 685.69. The next key area is this reversal open price, 688.72. Then the all-time highs at 689.70. And then if we do break out, the next major price is 694.56. The Qs, not quite to the 87.5, still a magnet price of 629.98. Above that, you have a gap still. You have a gap to fill. 632.08. So those are the next two targets. And then we're looking, there's a key price right around 635.77. Now we have Apple for Royal Palms. Apple is still we got a lot of senior leadership leaving Apple. I think this is going to trap a lot of people. We're still trading a PE of 37.63. Apple, we have a very key divergence here. Is there a fantastic short setup? No, but I'm looking for one. I am looking for one. Is that like Apple to collapse? No, that could be even Apple back to 258, 260 area. Would not be getting aggressively long here. If you are looking for a short-term scalpy trade, it would be on a close above Friday's high, for an initial break above Friday's high, because that would be a rotation and a percent B buy. Same things, but the target would only be 286.20 as the first potential target. So I am very, very cautious. Apple can still be traded long on a scalpy aspect, but would not get married to an Apple position if you want my thoughts on it. Meta with its rally, it triggered a percent B buy back here last week. And so far, where's that 2 weeks? Let's see. That was last week. And so far, again, the key target area, we're looking for Meta 688.75 if it does continue. If it rolls over, you got the rising rotation zone and you have a gap left behind. Other than that, is this like back up the truck to buy Meta again? No. I will be looking for another potential rollover play between 688 and 715. It would need a close above 715 to continue anything in bullish mode. So short term, it's still following through in bullish mode. It's still got the flattening out rotation zone and the 50% harmonic overhead. That's why this is a key target area for a bounce play in Meta. Take a peek at CMG. It almost hit all three targets on the weekly double top that has taken forever. Rebound targets for rollovers. And again, if you see something like this, especially, you know, don't get silly, you know, when the final target was 29.26 and it got to $30. It got to 29.25. Don't get stupid and say I'm holding everything for that last little couple cents. Key targets on a bounce back, but that double played out very nice. This is the thing. Weekly double, right? How many weeks did this take? It triggered back in March. It took through, it's still November. All right. Also, we'll get to the rebound targets in a second. Also, based off of these harmonics, right at that 87.5. So we still might see another rollover play, especially with their earnings. If it does bounce, though, prior breakdown level right around 38.65 weekly rotation zone. If we do close above that, very key would be the 200 on a weekly basis. All right, and the 37.5 harmonic and the declining 50 and the other breakdown zone. So those would be two key things on a bounce. Now they got the stock buyback. Chipotle, for buying back their stock, still trading 30.10. They've got declining sales. They're still beating watered down earnings, but they missed on revenue. You start missing on revenue, it's a warning sign. So let's see. Can I check out Planner's Peanuts? I bottom picked a few stocks at 155. Did anybody see that interview with the CEO of Planner's Peanuts? Okay, if you're bullish on this, it was a break. It was not. I thought that was. I'm sorry, I'm corrected. For any bullish setup you may have had, it only had a daily percent B buy. The first target being the 50%, which it took out. The next key target's 185.04. If it closes above there, the next target would be right around 192.50. Okay, and above there, you have a gap, but my first target would be 200. So 192.50 and 200 are the next targets higher if it closes above 185.04. There you go for Planner's Peanuts. On a pullback, right now I'd be looking about 177.50 and then a major support coming in closer to 170. There you go, Balaji. So, did I get everybody's stocks? Let's see. The S&P is now open. If I missed something, let me know before we wrap it up. The very flat. Nothing's changed. Look at the shorter term. Again, right around 68.80 still. We break below there. See, this is also the reason why I can't get short. Unless we get massive momentum. Because 68.73 to about 68.70 is another support area. And for those tuning in late, I'm still paying attention on a closing basis to the bottom of the 4-hour rotation zone, which is at 68.70. You're welcome, Balaji. I hope I'm saying that right. I really suck with names. And I'm sorry for anybody's name I ever mess up or pronounce wrong or get wrong. By the way, where's Holy Holy today? And where's Ted? Very disappointing. Very disappointing. So, does that make it? I think that's clear enough. Just pay attention to the 4-hour rotation zone. And, unless we get momentum, if you are trying to short, use tight stops. With that, I'll see everyone tomorrow. And I will talk to everyone later. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. And thank you, everyone, over on Rumble. I'll talk to everyone later. Bye for now.